You've probably heard stories of people who made it big, right? Entrepreneurs who worked hard, faced challenges, and came out on top. But what if I told you that the wealthiest man in 18th century America wasn't just lucky? He was considered a complete fool by almost everyone around him. Yeah, we're talking about Timothy Dexter, a man so clueless that his story will leave you laughing, scratching your head, and maybe even wondering if you should stop taking life so seriously. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm about to tell you the unbelievable and often downright ridiculous story of how Timothy Dexter, an uneducated, arrogant man, stumbled his way into becoming a millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could someone who was this clueless end up wealthy? Trust me, it's not a straightforward story. It's filled with poor decisions, bizarre actions, and a hefty dose of good luck. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the best stories don't follow the usual path. You're going to see how an unlikely combination of bad advice, strange choices, and some crazy events all came together for Timothy Dexter. By the end of this, you'll either be amazed by how lucky he was, or just in awe of how weird life can be. And hey, this isn't just a story about money. It's about confidence, risk, and how sometimes the most ridiculous person can teach us a thing or two about success. So, don't click away just yet. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this all plays out. All right, let's dive in. To understand Timothy Dexter's rise to wealth, we need to start with where he came from. He was born in 1747 in Massachusetts, and to be honest, he wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon in his mouth. In fact, he didn't even have much of a spoon at all. Timothy Dexter was the son of poor farmers. He didn't go to school and didn't have much formal education, but that didn't stop him. In his early adult years, he worked a bunch of random jobs. He tried everything from being a farmer to a sailor, but none of it really worked out. In fact, Timothy was so broke at one point that he couldn't even pay his way to get to a new town to try for another job. But somehow, he made it. Here's where it gets interesting. One day, Dexter started thinking to himself, why work for someone else? Why not work for myself? So, Timothy decided to try his hand at business. And that's where things started to go, well, weird. Timothy Dexter decided to go into the furniture business. He started by making small home furnishings and selling them. Nothing too fancy, but it was enough to get him started. But even though his furniture wasn't amazing, Dexter had one thing that worked in his favor: confidence. He walked into rooms, convincing people that his stuff was the best thing they'd ever seen. It worked. Slowly but surely, he started making money. But here's the thing. Dexter was still, well, not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. He didn't understand the ins and outs of business, and he certainly didn't understand the economy. But he was a man of action, not hesitation. If an idea popped into his head, he would go for it. No questions asked. So, what did Timothy Dexter do next? He decided to start exporting. Sounds normal, right? Well, it wouldn't be Dexter if it was. Instead of selling things people actually wanted, like tea or textiles, he made the strange decision to send coal to the West Indies. Coal! The thing about coal is it was cheap and readily available in America, but it wasn't something people in the Caribbean wanted. It was an awful idea. But here's where the accidental millionaire part comes in. When Dexter sent his coal shipments, he didn't realize that the West Indies were in a bit of a bind. They had a shortage of firewood, and suddenly coal became a hot commodity. As a result, his stupid business decision turned into a huge success. He made a fortune. Dexter's luck didn't stop there. In another bizarre move, he decided to send mittens to the Caribbean. Yep, mittens. You know, the winter gloves. Again, this was a dumb idea. No one in the Caribbean was looking for mittens, right? But somehow, he found a buyer. And again, that shipment made him money. You could almost hear the universe laughing at all the business experts who were saying he'd fail. But Dexter wasn't done yet. He also sent warming pans. These weird flat pans people used to warm up beds in cold weather. Again, not something the people in the Caribbean needed. But shockingly, this was another success. Dexter had this incredible gift, or curse, of being able to pull off the most ridiculous business ideas and still somehow make them work. As his wealth grew, so did his ego. He became so confident that he thought he could do anything, and that's when things started to get a little out of hand. For example, Dexter once printed a book filled with random thoughts and ideas. The book had no real structure, no clear purpose, and honestly, it was just nonsense. But Timothy Dexter believed in it so much that he had copies sent to every important person in the country, including George Washington. Can you imagine the look on Washington's face when he received a book full of rambling nonsense? But somehow, people thought Dexter was a genius, and they started buying his books. Here's the part that really takes the cake, though. Timothy Dexter built himself a huge mansion. But it wasn't just any mansion. It was one that looked, well, a little odd. It was like something out of a fairy tale, with windows in the strangest places and doors leading to nowhere. The mansion itself was a statement of just how over-the-top Dexter had become. And yet, despite all the weirdness, it became a symbol of his success. As his fame grew, people started to admire him. They thought, hey, this guy must know something we don't. They saw his ridiculous ideas, his strange decisions, and they thought, that's the kind of confidence it takes to succeed. And, in a way, they were right. But they were also wrong. Dexter wasn't just lucky. He was daring. He wasn't afraid to make mistakes, and that's where his success came from. So, what can we learn from Timothy Dexter's bizarre journey to wealth? A lot, actually. First, we learn that sometimes confidence can take you further than knowledge. Dexter didn't know much, but he believed in himself. And that belief led him to take risks that others wouldn't have dared. Second, luck plays a big role in success. But luck is also unpredictable. It's like throwing a dart in the dark. You never know where it's going to land. But perhaps the biggest lesson from Timothy Dexter's story is that we shouldn't always judge people by their appearances or their lack of education. Sometimes, the most unexpected people can teach us the most valuable lessons about how to take risks, be bold, and embrace life's unpredictability. If there's one thing to take away from Timothy Dexter, it's this: don't be afraid to be a little out there. Take risks. Do what others won't. And who knows? Maybe you'll end up with a mansion and $1 million idea of your own. If you enjoyed hearing about how the biggest idiot in history accidentally became a millionaire, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more crazy stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.